Tonight, attacked in broad daylight. With the spotlight on Alice Springs, this fears Port Augusta's antisocial behaviour problem will go on the back burner. And an immersive light show coming to Coffin Bay as part of the Eyre Peninsula's renowned Salt Festival.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. While national attention is focused on the unrest in Alice Springs, there are concerns Port Augusta is being ignored. With more complaints of antisocial behaviour, vandalism and attacks coming out almost daily, locals are warning things are only getting worse.
This video, sent to 7 Spencer Golf News, isn't in Alice Springs. It happened in the Port Augusta Woolworths. The footage is just one of many incidents in the city, from violence to children trespassing properties late at night. In the CBD, smashed windows, damaged doors and break-ins have been rife. Vacant lots on Commercial Road a particular target. The member for Stewart says he was made aware on the increase in unrest several weeks ago.
I've asked for a meeting with Eddie Hughes, who's the member for Giles on the west side of Port Augusta, and myself with the minister, which is responsible for this committee, is Nat Cook.
We will have that meeting, and I know that Jeff has also, being a minister, has raised the issues in Port Augusta very recently with the powers that be in Adelaide with other ministers.
Mr Hughes says locals should continue to report antisocial behaviour to the police and that he's currently looking into current police strategies.
I am meeting in this coming week. It's with senior members of the police in Adelaide to discuss the situation in Port Augusta, to get a grasp of what are the resourcing issues, what are the strategies.
Meanwhile, in a letter dated January 27th, Port Augusta City Council released an update on the state government's outreach program, which is designed to combat the antisocial behaviour. Details include 240 individuals, including 32 accompanied minors, have returned to country since the end of January. Most returned to the APY lands, with a number moving back to Coober Pedy, Ceduna and Alice Springs. And more organisations have joined the program, including the Salvation Army, Relationships Australia and Healthy Dreaming. Port Augusta locals are now posting online. They fear what's happening in Alice Springs is now occurring here.
Comparing it to Alice Springs would be doing a massive disfavour to Port Augusta. It's not on that scale, which is not to say that what is happening is not concerning.
Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A man has allegedly tested positive to drugs while driving through a school zone in Port Augusta. As part of Operation Return to School, officers will allege a 47-year-old man was one of 2 drivers who tested positive to methamphetamine. 2 other drivers were also caught doing the wrong thing, one for allegedly drink driving and the other for having cannabis in their system. Statewide, patrols issued 68 expiation notices for a range of other traffic offences, including parking and stopping incorrectly, speeding, mobile phone use and licence and registration offences, while 6 cars were found to have defects. 2 Broken Hill sports grounds will be getting major upgrades to their facilities. Announced by the Deputy Premier in Broken Hill yesterday, the money will be coming through the Stronger Communities Fund.
Kicking goals for sport in Broken Hill. During his visit to the Silver City yesterday, Paul Toole announced close to $1 million will be used to upgrade both Norm Fox and Alma ovals.
So both of those ovals are going to receive that investment, and that's going to create change rooms and amenities in those local areas.
The upgrades will give female athletes their own change rooms.
And it's more than just a change room. You know, we know that with women's sport has been growing as well. So therefore, you know, when you have that crossover between men and women, it can be quite uncomfortable.
Barrier District Cricket League Chairman Peter Johnson, who is also part of the Norm Fox Oval Committee and does some work with AFL in the city, is happy to see the amenities are getting the makeover they deserve.
I was only talking a while ago to a couple of fellas here. I think I played football here 40 years ago. and got changed in the same change rooms that we've actually got at the moment. So they're long overdue.
Former Broken Hill resident and current candidate for Barwon, Annette Turner, is happy to see the facilities getting a facelift after so many years.
The ageing infrastructure, it's great to see it being updated, and I'm sure there's lots of stories these change rooms could tell, but I think to do them up will be fantastic.
Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Gulf News.
A brand new event is coming to the Lower Eyre Peninsula called Baylight. It's a part of the region's innovative Salt Festival. Set along the foreshore of Coffin Bay, audiences can enjoy an immersive light show, live music, bars and the best local food.
Lighting up the night, Coffin Bay is getting ready for a colourful 3-day event that is sure to please all the senses, with Adelaide production team Harsh Realities travelling to the region to feature their light show called Storm. The sensory display will use large projectors and lasers to illuminate the sky and shoreline of Coffin Bay.
As a council, we are really excited around the show. So as you may be aware, it is called Baylight. It's a 3-day music festival and light show, and it will be set along the foreshore of Coffin Bay.
Organisers say the 15-minute immersive light show simulates a storm passing overhead in a calming display of different colours.
I have seen it at Glenelg. It's about illuminating the sky, the water and the land through exhibitive shapes and movements.
The festival is not only a treat for the eyes, with ARIA Award winner Josh Pike set to perform live at the event's Salt stage.
For us, it's about celebrating not only art, but it's about connecting with some of those local businesses, those tourist operators, and then of course the flow-on effect that comes as a result of that.
Baylight will debut at 6 p.m. on Friday, April 28th, with tickets now available through the Salt website. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, PCYC plants baits to catch wild dogs and foxes in the Flinders Ranges. And meet the inspirational Port Augusta girl, giving back to kids in need. Welcome back. Thousands of new wild dog baits have been distributed across the central and northern Flinders Ranges. Organised by PCYC and the SA Arid Lands Boards, the project hopes to control the population of both wild dogs and foxes in an effort to protect the native environment. The aerial operation has covered over 300,000 hectares and deployed more than 15,000 wild dog strength baits. The Department of Environment and Water says wild dog numbers are now reportedly at their lowest since 2009. Spencer Gulf construction companies are invited to bid for the tender of major upgrades at Pine Creek Bridge, northeast of Laura. It's part of a $3.6 million project to restore the heavy vehicle freight route along Apilla Laura Road.
Built in the 1940s, Pine Creek Bridge is in the need of some serious maintenance. Too fragile to support the weight of larger trucks, freight is being diverted to avoid the area.
Follow a detour which is over a lot of dirt roads, which of course impacts on their time.
Northern Areas Council is now inviting construction companies to step up and take on the challenge getting the old bridge back to its former glory. Council says this significant project will benefit the whole community.
The decking will be widened and the structure underneath will be strengthened. 2 large trucks can pass on the bridge quite comfortably.
Projects like this are always going to cause short-term inconvenience for the community. And the main thing is the road will still be accessible.
Most of our roads, all the roadworks that are happening, you might have to go slower, but you can still get through. They work around these things.
The joint funding for the project comes from both the South Australian and federal governments. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
There are few things more heartbreaking than a child suffering from cancer. But But a young Port Augusta girl has made a tremendous decision to do her bit to help out by chopping off her hair to make into a wig.
A very small gathering to witness something very special. Isabella Morton getting a haircut at Christy Muir Hairstyling for a good cause.
I wanted to get my hair cut because I wanted to donate my hair to the kids with cancer, and so they have some hair.
Izzy set up a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for Wigs for Kids, an organisation that helps create wigs for children who have lost their hair during cancer treatments.
I feel very great, like how I'm giving it to other people so then they can have some joy with it.
The cost of creating a single wig is hugely expensive, thousands of dollars for a custom-made one, so Izzy's donation will go a long way.
We're so proud of her and the accomplishment she's made. She's raised $1,800 to go towards kids with cancer, so we're very proud.
And the idea was Izzy's in the first place.
She just came out of the blue last year that she thought she would cut her hair. It was time to get rid of all that long hair, and she thought she'd give it to the people that needed it most.
As for Izzy's thoughts on her new do,
weird and happy at the same time.
More information can be found at kidswithcancer.org. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. PCYC Broken Hill granted $200,000 to extend programs to Wilcannia and Menindee. And the local landscape board calling on the community to help remove an invasive prickly cactus. Welcome back to your local news bulletin. Broken Hill PCYC has received funding to extend outreach programs to remote communities. The state government funding will bring more activities to places like Menindee and Wilcannia.
Making sure children across the far west are getting every opportunity in life through the PCYC. The Deputy Premier announcing the funding yesterday.
When you come to the PCYC clubs, you can see the programs that are actually delivering and making a difference to the lives of people in these communities. And I always believe that young people should be given every chance possible in life.
The funding is set to be used to bring programs such as the club's Fit for Life to communities in Menindee and Wilcannia.
So that means that those communities, those young people out there in Wilcannia and Menindee will also be receiving the same service that is being provided here at Broken Hill.
PCYC New South Wales CEO Dominic Teakle says the funding will help the organisation continue its life-changing work, giving young people the tools to develop life skills and fitness, improving mental and physical strength through these programs.
PCYC sits at the heart of these communities and it provides a safe place for young people to belong. And once the young people feel safe, they can reach their potential and that's what we're about. So thank you very much for doing this.
PCYC Broken Hill manager Ebony Johnson says the funding is a fundamental part of how the club can run these programs, especially in remote towns in the far west.
It just helps us to deliver programs in, other locations that we wouldn't necessarily be able to without it. So as it stands on our name, we are life-changing and that's what we're here for.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
An invasive prickly weed has been discovered in Nelshaby Reserve. The Northern and York Landscape Board has jumped into action, calling on locals to help out with a working bee before it starts to affect the native flora and fauna.
Nelshaby Reserve is a beautiful part of the mid-north, and it's our responsibility to keep it that way.
That reserve then backs onto the conservation park, so that's why really important that we really do get on top of it now.
This prickly pear cactus can multiply and spread quickly across the landscape, causing destruction in its wake.
They can form quite large thickets that can become really difficult to deal with. A lot of treatment needs to be done for them.
But that's not the only thing that's harmful about them. The cactus has the potential to seriously harm the native wildlife, as the spikes can get caught in the mouth and skin of animals, causing deadly infections. In order to eradicate these nasty weeds, the Northern and York Landscape Board has partnered with the Port Pirie Regional Council to host a working bee at Laurie Park in Nelshaby on Friday the 24th of February at 10 a.m. until 1 p.m.
If they have cactus present on their properties, they can contact the Landscape Board or office, and they can register their properties to have volunteers or landscape officers go onto their property to inject the cactus for them.
To volunteer or register your property, contact the board on 8658 1086. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Where to catch a squid and whiting in Whyalla, plus the rest of our fishing tips. And a cool change sweeps the Gulf. We'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. Fishers keen to hit the water are in for a treat with plenty of options on offer this weekend. From squid at the jetty to mud crabs at False Bay. Let's kick things off in Whyalla with Steve Storick.
Hi, Whyala's fishing tips this week. Cowlard's Landing will definitely be worth a try for some nice size yellowfin whiting this time of the year. Also, the local foreshore should be worth a crack for some yellowfin whiting too. From the local jetty, there's been a few nice sized squid coming throughout the day and some good numbers of crabs starting to be caught off the local jetty. A little bit further north around to Point Lowly, there's been a few salmon schools still holding around, but they've been a little bit more prolific, so you got to get the right time of the day for those. There's been some good garfish coming from Fitzgerald Bay areas and down towards False Bay, Black Point as well. For the boaties, some really good numbers of crabs starting to hit the table now. Most boats achieving close to their limits, if not their bag limits, in only a few hours. So the best areas for those have been out the front of town, a little bit further down towards Mount Young. It's also worth a try around the silt grounds. There's been some good numbers of garfish coming in from the boaties there as well.
Welcome to another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. It's lovely to be back on deck. I have been waiting for so long for the blue swimmer crabs to come in. It just feels like they're just ignoring us, but they are on with gusto at the moment. So anywhere in front of Roona Island on the bend, you'll be able to catch yourself a good feed. And anywhere north of the power station wall, you'll find yourself nice big crabs at Port Augusta as well. Some of the guys that we've been talking about, just trying for a few garfish and tommies and all that sort of stuff, I've found that there's a few salmon around the Port Broughton area, and there's a lot of tommies if you go out to Port Davis and just go up around Woods Point. You should be able to find yourself, burley up a heap, and you'll be very surprised what you can catch. And we hopefully see you next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Drill the North. Well, it's all over shop at the moment. Some people are getting crabs, other people aren't. Some people are getting further north, others are getting south. But there has been some good catches around the old powerhouse area for crabs. Silver whiting, they can be found around over in Patterson, down through the Flinders. The kingfish are pretty old but moved out. There's the odd one still floating around, so it's still worth a try, but wouldn't be anywhere near guaranteed on those. A couple of snook on the troll, and there's some salmon up in the creeks. On the really calm nights, try dabbing for garfish. That's all we have for the Drill the North.
Well, let's see if Alex Sykes can tell us if there's any calm nights ahead for those after some garfish. Alex, you don't have to answer that. Good evening to you. There wasn't much of a difference between the high and low temp in Kadina today.
I can try, Maddie. I'll have the Gulf Waters forecast in just a moment, but yes, Kadina's low temp was 15 degrees, warming up to 22 by mid-afternoon. Elsewhere, Port Augusta recorded 25.9 at 2:30, bit of rain around Port Pirie 25. Woodna was windy, reaching 23 degrees. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, 22 in Port Lincoln and Kadina, 27 in Broken Hill. Cooper Pedy also reached 27 degrees after 4 p.m. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a cooler and fresh southerly flow will gradually ease across South Australia tomorrow, while a high-pressure system will position itself south of the Bight over the weekend. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf Waters. No calm waters at this stage. Another strong wind warning is in place for Friday. Southwesterly winds 20 to 30 knots. Seas will be 1.5 to 2.5 metres. And south to southwesterly swell up to 4 metres. Might have to wait for some better fishing conditions. 18 degrees in Port Lincoln and Cleve tomorrow. Woodna will get to around 19 degrees. Becoming windier in Whyalla on Friday, 20 degrees there. Similar conditions in Port Augusta, set to reach a high of 21 degrees, and Kadina will be a windy top of 20. Morning showers around Port Pirie tomorrow, set to reach a high of 19 degrees there, between 9 and 17 in Clare, and a partly cloudy and 21 in Broken Hill. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with Saturday's outlook. Cloudy conditions around Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Adelaide. Partly cloudy in Woodner, Whyalla, Kadina and Port Pirie. Sunny up in Cooper Pedy and Broken Hill. Across the region, temperatures will be as low as 20 and as high as 27. Moving on to Sunday's weather map now. Much more sun on this map. Blue skies and 30 degrees in Port Augusta and Woodner. A sunny top of 29 in Port Pirie and Broken Hill. Partly cloudy in Port Lincoln, 23, 26 in the capital. And finally, taking our first look at how Monday is looking. And well, it's looking a fair bit warmer. 35 in Cooper Pedy, 34 in Port Augusta and Woodner, partly cloudy and 33 in Port Pirie, sunny and 25 in Port Lincoln. So in summary, Maddie, a few cool days and nights before it heats up again. I'll see you a little later with an update. It's back to you.
I think I'll enjoy the cooler weather. Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.